unity through gospel.
The new 107.9 FM, W300EB,
Macon and WDDO 980 AM,
Perry.
Macon.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Well, good afternoon. Welcome once again to Ask Elaine. We do appreciate you so much for being there. Thank you so much. Those who've tuned in by on AM, those who've tuned in on FM, and also those who or have joined us through the Glory Facebook Live. We are just thrilled that you have chosen to spend your a part of your afternoon with us. We do have a special guest today who will be joining us shortly. But I wanted to first of all thank all of our sponsors. We want to thank Senator David Lucas. We want to thank Black Voters Matter, a nonpartisan organization. We want to thank all those folks. We want to thank Sheriff David Davis for his support. We want to thank former Mayor C. Jack Ellis for his support of Ask Elaine. And we also want to thank the fine folks at EL High School Academy for their support of Ask Elaine. And we hope to add more sponsors. You are invited to um, be a sponsor if you like. We would love to have your help in. Um, See, I always come in here and tear up their studio, knock stuff off, and everything. But anyway, we want to thank all of you for your support. Um, and we want to let you know that this is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, thanking you just from the bottom of my heart for your support all of these years. It's been, I would say, about 10 years that we've been doing this. And that is that's something to think about. So thank you. We have Senator David Lucas. He's going to put his headphones on so that we can. we were just thanking you all for tuning in every Wednesday for supporting the show. We want to bring to you the most current news and information that we can. We're hopeful that we will have our new school superintendent on with us very soon. We know that he's very, very busy, but he's going to work us in because we always love to have folks and we'll be one of the first ones to share news about people and things here on Ask Elaine. So he will be with us on a show very, very soon. We also are going to let you meet, for those who don't already know her, we're going to have you to meet our new um, head of the Keep Making Beer Beautiful, Asha Allen. And she will be one of our guests very, very soon. Keep in mind that there are a lot of things that are being sponsored by the Evangelical Ministers Alliance. Pastor Lisa was on with us last week, and she talked about all of those different things that are going on, and also mentioned the activities that are going on that are endorsed by the Martin Luther King Commission. We want to say hello to Ms. Jeanette Goff, who has joined us. We're just so grateful that you take the time to join us because we always have some good information. Um, Also, we want to remind you, we want to give a big salute to the six East Macon pastors who will hold a town hall to address shooting deaths in Macon, Bibb County. This will be Saturday, I believe, from 11 until 1. There are a number of organizations that are co sponsoring this. The pastors are Pastor Richard Robinson, Reverend David Stanley, Elder Alfonso Austin Jr., Pastor Derek Dumas, Pastor Willie Finney Sr., and Reverend Dr. Kevin Moore. And these pastors are representing six of the churches in East Macon. And I just want to salute them. I know that there are some other organizations that are a part of it. Sheriff David Davis and the Bibb Sheriff's Department is a part of it. There are a number of other organizations that are sponsoring this. And so they're inviting parents, grandparents, children to attend this event at New Pleasant Grove Missionary Baptist Church on Menard Street. This will be Saturday morning from, I believe it's 11 to 1. The first 100 people who get there will receive um, some special things. I think book school supplies, and some other items. So I think that we're going to have someone else to call in too a little later in the program to talk about some of the other things that will be going on with that particular event. So we wholeheartedly endorse, and the Martin Luther King Commission, the Martin Luther King Board supports and endorses events like that. We also want to give a big salute to our county government, which, and I was honored to participate in the demolition of the 200th structure, dilapidated structure in Macon. And the goal very soon is for 300 dilapidated. And we're going to talk too very soon to some people who are talking about putting some structures back there, some new structures. Um, do we have a caller?
Yes,
Welcome
ma'am, you do.
to Ask Elaine.
Hey, this is Leon Jones. How you doing?
Our coroner, how are you?
I'm good. I'm also gonna have my back to school giveaway on book bags that Saturday. I decided to do it all at one time, so I'm getting my book bags together, and I'm also a sponsor of that program. and that's going to be held Saturday. And like you, I want to commend these ministers that step forward. I think Herbert Denard, he spearheaded this campaign. And not only these ministers, any ministers in Macon, Georgia, that's stepping forward to help curtail the violence. Because the one thing we got plenty of is preachers, car watchers, and dollar generals.
You're right.
Okay? So I'm gonna have my back to school book bag giveaway Saturday too. I've been all collecting book bags and everything, so that will be going on too. And like I say, I want to commend those ministers and Herbert Denard too for the work that they're doing, and other ministers in this community that they realize it's a problem here in our community.
It is a problem. And I commend
Thank you.
them too. Thank you very much for all that you
Yes,
do.
ma'am.
I'm hearing an echo, I think, Mr. Engineer. I hear myself.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Coroner. Leon Jones has a job, Senator. That is a tough job to have. He asks people to pray for him, and he's one of those that you really do need to pray for because he is the one that's on the scene in most of the most tragic of situations in the community. We want to say hello to Sherry Shannon Miller, the First Lady of Okmulgee Missionary Baptist Church. She's with us, as is Miss Goff and Miss Talton. Welcome. We want to welcome all of you who have joined us on 980 AM and 107.9 FM. Those that we can see who are here on Facebook Live, The Glory Live, we want to welcome you. Whatever medium you've chosen to join us, we thank you for joining us. And we've had a chance to tell you about this event. The coroner is a part of that event where the six East Macon ministers have pulled together and they're having this town hall. And the coroner is doing his back to school giveaway at the same time. So, don't just come and pick up the free stuff. Come and bring your young ones and have them to take part in that event to help keep them safe. And that's what we need to do. We want to say hello to Maria Bryant with the NAACP. She is with us. Good afternoon to you. Ms. Woodford, Geraldine Woodford has joined us. Randy Crawford is on with us. And we've already welcomed Sherry Shannon Miller, Ms. Goff, and Ms. Talton. We'd also like to say a big hello to the volunteers who are at EL High School Academy who helped us to congratulate and to pay respect to 23 new high school graduates on Saturday, the 25th. These folks volunteer their time with us. Miss Joyce Gray Humphrey, Miss Mary Jane Glover, Sherry Shannon Miller was there, along with Herbert Denard, along with Senator Lucas, who all serve on our Distinguished Educators Board of Advisors, who help us to provide an opportunity for students to get their high school diploma. And we are just so honored to be allowed to help. So we want to thank all those folks for joining with us today. Senator, welcome to Ask Elaine. It's great having you with us. And I want to talk about something before I ask you about what's going on with the state. And we're going to talk about your rural healthcare initiatives, what you're trying to do for a lot of the rural areas that you cover. But we want to talk about the latest polls. And I am just so happy to bring you this information on these latest polls. The latest poll for governor shows Stacey Abrams with 48% of the vote, and it shows Brian Kemp with 48% of the vote. It shows those two, the Democrat and the Republican, tied. Now, what's going to break that tie? What's going to break that tie is for you to get registered. You still have time. You must be registered 30 days before you take part in an election. So you've got the time. Go ahead and get registered if you are not. If you are registered and you haven't voted in a while, check your status. Go to Secretary of State's site and go to my voter page and you put in certain information and it will let you know that you will see that information that's on there and you will be able to know whether your registration is in good standing or not. Everybody needs to do that because you can make the difference. Every vote is going to count. Wouldn't you agree? Every vote is going to count in this election. They are tied. Then we go to the Senate race where Reverend Dr. Warnock is in a race. Herschel Walker, the airman. I'm gonna read to you his latest quote. Y'all really are not gonna believe that somebody actually said this. But anyway, Herschel Walker, it started out, and Herschel Walker had a 2 point advantage, I believe, over Reverend Dr. Warnock. And I was disturbed. I was very, very upset about that. The latest poll shows that Reverend Dr. Warnock has 54% of the vote, and Herschel Walker has dropped down to 44% of the vote, which shows that people are not fooled, that people are actually uh, stating their preference for Reverend Dr. Warnock. But we cannot get complacent. We have got to continue working to get other people registered to vote. We've got to make sure that we are ready to vote. The early voting will start in October. And so that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to the Board of Elections. I'm going to vote early. You'll also be able to go down to the Senior Citizen Center in Carolyn Creighton Park and vote early. And there may be one other early voting site. So that's what you've got to do. That is what you've got to do. You got to vote. We have been joined by Mr. Rich Gazarian. Um, and I'm seeing a comment that he's making about an NFL player. If you'll finish your comment, then I can see exactly what you're saying, Mister Gazarian is the person that I'm seeing there. But we want to say hello to all of you. Senator, what's your thinking on the polls and on the importance of every vote?
Well, number one, polls don't mean anything unless you get out and vote. You can be leading in a poll, and at the end of the night,
Get right up to that mic so
and
everybody can hear you.
at the end of the day, you could end up losing. You know, and what I really want to talk about is this so-called information on inflation. The country is in bad shape, and that Democrats put it in bad shape. We need to understand one thing: that when COVID hit us, Donald Trump said it was a common cold and wouldn't do anything, and millions of folks died because he didn't believe in the science. Here we are with an infrastructure package that none of the Republicans voted for, none of the Senate Republicans voted for, that brought money to the boards of education, your cities, your counties to help them pay the bills because of COVID. What Trump did was pass the biggest tax cut, and the money was given to billionaires and millionaires. And the stimulus checks were given to little folks. And there are more little folks than there are billionaires and millionaires. But was given to little folks to help them during the rough times. And now all of a sudden, it is a problem because little folks got some money and inflation is up. Well, we got an oil crisis with Russia and Putin. Of course, we probably wouldn't have an oil crisis with Russia and Putin if Donald Trump was still in office, because he looked up to Donald Trump. He wanted to be an authoritarian. He wanted to rule with a mighty fist. And what these hearings are showing us, that he tried to change the way we operate in this country with a democracy. He had hooked up folks in the Justice Department to challenge Georgia, sent a letter to Georgia, talked about poll workers that in Atlanta and Fulton County, that these folks had votes in boxes that they were taking out. And the thing about it, even his attorney general, Barr, and Barr said that was BS on that was no fraud, that Trump just lost. And he could not take the losing. And then he turned around and turned all the goons on the federal Capitol to try to stop the counting of the electoral votes and the election of the president, Joe Biden. That's what we need to talk about. We need to talk about all these things. We need to talk about Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock, who changed the way that the politics were in D.C. That little folks were able to get something and get some help. And all these local governments that sit around here and talk, and all these millions of dollars that has flowed from the federal government to these local governments to help them. If that's inflation, then that's inflation. But it's helping the folks here in America. It's helping those folks. And that's what we need to talk about. But the most important thing, I'm so sick and tired of going to a conference or coming back home, and here's a 19-year-old, a 23-year-old, a 21-year-old that's been shot, that's been killed. Well, I'm here to tell y'all today that I'm going to be real hard about it. If you do the crime, you're going to do the time. And I'm going to talk to the sheriff and I'm going to talk to the DA. You run around here with this gang banging stuff, go around in cars and shoot up places, shoot folks trying to run in the back. I'm tired of it. Now, if you want to be a gangbanger, then you're going to pay the price to be a gangbanger. And we got some prison cells to hold you too. And it is not pretty. It is not nice. You are told when to go to sleep, when to eat, when you can go to the bathroom. I'm tired of it. And those of you who have seen these incidents happen and refuse to talk, you are just as guilty as the person that pulled the trigger. It is time out for this. We have sit around here and fought like HELL just for voting rights to make sure, because voting is a privilege. And people died for that right. And here we are killing one another. So you don't vote. You're not even concerned about voting. You're not concerned about the laws that you have to abide by. As far as I'm concerned, you got a death wish. You don't care about dying. When you do these kind of crazy things and ride around here and drive around here with guns and shoot folks, just shoot them. Now it's time out for it. It's time out for it. I'm going to be pushing the DA. I'm going to be pushing the sheriff. And anytime you make one of these crazy crimes, I'm going to try to make sure you get all the time you can get. I'm not talking about paroling.
It is so unfortunate because when we kill each other, we take away from our community some ability, some potential. Who knows what those folks who get killed could have contributed to the community. We lose our resources, our human resources. And then we leave not just one family devastated, there's another family that's devastated as well. Everybody who dies, their family is devastated. But then you also have the loss of someone from a family for years and years and years, maybe a lifetime, the one who committed the crime. And so it's just a big, big loss. We are just pulling resources, taking resources away from our communities. future fathers who could be role models for our young boys. Who are they to pattern after if they don't have positive role models, positive guys? We need the men and the women to guide the lives of our young people. So, what we're doing, and I might not even have any of these folks that we need to be talking to watching this program or listening. I hope we do. But if you're in a position to influence these young folks who are the ones who are really just killing each other, and then we lose the person who's died, who's killed, but we also lose them. We lose that potential for our community, for the state, for the nation. So it's just such a loss. And many of us just grieve every time we hear of someone getting killed. And the ages are getting they're getting younger and younger.
There's no question about it. And we're going to try to speed up the process of those folks who have been waiting in jail because of COVID and everything else, that they are adjudicated.
Well,
It is
yeah,
time out for young folks to run around here with guns. I see them in the convenience store with guns in the pocket. I asked one young guy, he didn't look that he was over 17. He said, "Yeah, Pop," and showed me his permit. I said, "Well, where your voter card at?" I don't what?
yeah,
You don't vote, but you can walk around here with a gun.
yeah.
You know, there's responsibility with guns. And I even said that, and the most amazing thing is, you as my wife has never cared about guns. You didn't even want my boys to go hunting with me when I was going hunting.
No, I didn't.
But now you
That's
come
right.
home with a target where you've been taking target practice. So now it's going to be pistol toting Elaine.
Well, you're right. Because what I yes, I did take the gun safety class. Did very well. Um, got to feel comfortable handling the firearm. It took me a long, long time to get to that point. Um, what pushed me to that point was somebody cutting my tire and all kinds of threats and stuff. And so I decided for my own personal safety, but that's for my safety. That is not the same as someone
Gang banging.
just gang banging. You're deciding that that's the thing to do, that you're just going to carry a gun and you have no respect for someone else's life. But we had that program where we had Madonna Baker, former sheriff's at Macon police officer Madonna Baker, who taught the gun safety class that I took, and by the way, is still available to teach that class. Um, but anyway, we started out, and I went to that gun safety class with her because so many people have guns, and it just seems like we're fighting a senseless battle. We're fighting a hopeless battle to try and get rid of guns.
Well, it's
uh,
hard. It's hard to
I
get rid
just
of.
decided that what I needed to do was to stress gun safety
Well,
with the listeners. And so that is what I'm doing. And I took the gun safety class because, and I'm going to practice some more too, um, because guns are a part of today's society.
well,
And so I learned to be safe with it and
well,
learn how to handle
well,
it.
part of the problem is you used to have, you wanted a total pistol. You used to have to go get a pistol permit, and they would do a background check, make sure you've not had any mental issues or those kind
Hmm.
of things, that you don't have a criminal record. The governor of this state decided that everybody can tote a gun. That means if a deputy sheriff knew he locked you up for a felon, and he sees you in the convenience store and notice that there's something buzzing out your pocket that looks like a gun, he can't even walk up to you until you take that gun out and use it. Then he can do something about it. And this is crazy. It's like Wild Bill Hickok and Jesse James.
Yeah, the Wild Wild West.
Yes. And what I'm trying to tell young folks, you are listening to somebody who's out there, who you know, that if you do the crime, you're going to do the time. It's not going to be easy. You're not going to be getting off. Your bonds are going to be high. I am tired of it. I'm tired of coming home. I'm tired of seeing young folks, 16, 18 years. What does a 16-year, 14-year-old doing with a gun? And then again, mamas and daddies. If you know your child is doing wrong, you need to do something about it, because it's too late to call me about him when he goes into the prison system. He's taking a life. And they're taking lives like it doesn't mean anything. I can see Dr. King turn it over 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah.
Because of what he fought for. And here we are as young folks, and blacks in particular are killing each other. Now let me say something. You talk about the police, but police officers want to go home at the end of the night too. They got families. And when you take a gun and point it to on him, you got a real problem. So if you have a run-in with the law, do what they tell you to do. If you've been misused, then file a complaint. The name of the game is to go home at the end of the night. But you're going to turn around and take a gun and point it at the police. You're going to run down the highway and shoot back at the police. You're going to do some time. And I'm here to tell you, I'm going to be pushing it through the legislature. It is time out for us taking one another's lives. It's almost like Reverend Smith said one time, and he was preaching one day, and he made a statement that's so true. We don't love one another.
Yeah.
It's something about us something is wrong with us. We don't love one another. Something is wrong. Because you don't wear a certain color, you get jumped on by somebody that doesn't wear that color. I'm going to put on any color I want to put on when I'm in the street, when I'm driving, when I go to the bars. And I'm not going to tolerate somebody coming to me telling me I got the wrong color on. You're going to have a problem. But I'm telling you, it is time out. And those of you who witness these things and won't talk about, you're not going to talk, then you are just as guilty as the person that pulled that trigger.
Right.
It is time to get these folks off the street.
And there are ways of reporting things where you don't have to, you can do it anonymously. If your concern is safety for people, then you do your part in making sure that those folks who are dangerous, who are posing a danger, um, yeah, that something happens with them, and you can do that anonymously. Maria Bryant says the goal is to get home alive, and that is not only us, but that's the police too. Now I know there's some low down dirty police officers. I know there are some. I know that there was no reason for that young man, what was it, last week, to get shot 60 times. There's all that happening. But what we've got to do is to be smart. And we've got to make sure that we elect people who will work to make sure that police departments police officers are held accountable, and that their training puts them in a position to do right by citizens. Um, we can see someone defending themselves, but I cannot see 90 shots being made at one person who's running away, and 60, this person being shot 60 times.
And the boy
Now,
who went up in Illinois and shot all those folks dressed like a woman,
and
and they
this white
stopped
boy,
him in the car, and he had guns on him. Then why they didn't shoot up the car? They had him as a
yeah,
suspect.
he was not shot one time. That Ruth boy, his last name was Ruth, that went up in the AME church in South Carolina, sat in there with those folks, those black folks, while they were having prayer service and Bible study or whatever. They treated him as a visitor, like many of us do when someone comes in our church. You know, I usher, so we're usually one of the first ones to see people. And this boy came into this church. These people treated him kindly, treated him as the visitor, the welcome visitor. And he opened fire and killed what, eight, nine,
Yeah.
9 people in South Carolina. Uh, he was apprehended alive. And from what I understand from published accounts, they took him to the Burger King to get some food. There's a difference, and we've got to elect. That's why voting. All this comes back to voting. That's why it's so important that we vote. And we have got to start asking tough questions of people. We can't just let them because we like the way they look or because they tell us what we want to hear up front. We don't ever question them on issues. What are your feelings on gun control? What are your feelings on climate control? Because, you know, we're burning ourselves up. And the Republicans could care less as long as they get their campaign contributions from these big, rich companies. They don't care.
Well, you know, you also got to look at the big lie that Donald Trump told.
Oh, yeah.
The hearings
Yeah.
are bringing everything out that this man knew he had lost and was told by everybody around him he had lost, and he was going to take the federal government, take the army, and seize voting machines and declare martial law. And he was about to do it, but the only problem was there were folks within those governmental entities that refused to do it.
Good afternoon. Overseer Mabel Randall has joined us. We're always glad to see her on with her. I joined in on her show yesterday. She was talking about folks having wandering eyes and wandering hands and all of this sort of stuff. And we had an interesting that was an interesting conversation. That was a really good show, Overseer, yesterday.
Well, you know, Jimmy Carter said he lusts within his heart.
Yeah, you have to make sure that your lust stays in your heart, and that you don't let it go out into your lips, your eyes, or your hands. That's yeah. And we need to express congratulations to Rosalind and Jimmy Carter, who have been married 76 years. And so we want to salute them.
That's a long time.
That is a long time. We thought we had been married a long time. We've been married 45 years, which is a long time, Senator.
It had to put up with you.
Goodness. Put up with you. Oh, my goodness. Ooh, y'all ladies know what I'm talking about. But 76 years, that is something else. That is really, and so we salute them and wish them a happy anniversary, and for the number of years that they have left together, we know they're going to be happy, because after 76, as happy, well, you know, can't be anything but happy.
And if these young folks want to get out these games, talk to folks like Roger Jackson, former NFL player who has a program to try to help young people. Talk to some of these folks. Talk to these folks who taking these little league ball teams across the country and out of Macon, Georgia, and winning.
Yeah.
Talk to them.
Yeah.
It is time out for the foolishness. And you young folks got to stop it. You're going to have to stop it, or we going to stop you. There's no question about it. It's time out. I'm tired of seeing families going to funerals. I'm tired of it for nothing.
It is. There are a number of programs that are in place now, and with your own money, which has come back to Macon Bibb County, the county has the MVP, Macon Violence Prevention program, and they through that program, people have applied, laying out their program, what they intend to do to decrease violence in the community. A lot of those programs have some wonderful, innovative activities connected with them. There's mentoring that's a part of it. There's sports activities. There are just all kinds of programs. And this program on Saturday is one of those kinds of things where you have our faith leaders who are involved, who get involved and encourage people to develop relationships, positive relationships, while they're playing sports or involved in some mentoring activities. So, y'all, please take advantage of the activities, the programs that are being funded using your taxpayers' money. By the way, that money was made possible by the Democrats and your Democratic president, Joe Biden. Um, I saw something that really made me mad. Just yesterday, there was a poll that showed that Democrats would prefer, a majority of Democrats would prefer somebody else run for president. Now, before anybody, if you before you say that again, you need to check out what Joe Biden has been able to do. Joe Biden is older, yes, but he's just as wise as he can be. And he's been there a lot of years. A lot of times you look at the age of somebody and you don't look at the experience and the expertise that a person brings to a job. You just look at how they look, whether they're older or not. But the older folks used to say, you need to just keep on living. What were some of the other sayings that they had that were saying to you, shut your mouth and listen and watch us because we know. So what older folks used to say something about, after if you've lived as long as I have, once you've lived that long, you'll know. What are some of those sayings that older folks used to say to remind you that you need to keep on living and you'll learn, and you need to kind of pattern after what some of the older folks, the positive things
There's no
that some of the older folks are doing.
there's no question about it. I'm 72 years old and glad to be 72. And I'm looking at 16, 18, 21 year olds who are dying,
Yeah,
who
yeah,
have been shot, who have been killed, and then had the time to even live.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
you know it. And then you've got elderly folks, especially in the black community. They don't want to say anything because they think that they're going to be retaliated against by the so-called gangbangers. Well, we got something for the gangbangers. Let us know, and we'll protect you. Let us know. But I'm telling you, it's time out. It's time out for us going to funerals because of some foolishness. He said this to me, or he was in that other gang, so we got to
or he
retaliate.
looked at me funny. he
Yeah.
he I didn't like the way he looked. Just ridiculous.
Look at the guy that got out of
ridiculous
jail,
stuff.
got bonded out a couple of months ago,
And the next morning,
and next morning ambushed and killed. And
yeah.
then somebody had enough nerve to put on Facebook, one down and two to go.
See, this stuff has to stop because people are making mistakes too. People are shooting at some of the wrong folks. There are people who are trying to retaliate against somebody from that neighborhood over there, and they're shooting into the wrong folks' houses and killing people that they didn't intend to kill. We've got all of that stuff happening in Macon Bibb. So we have got to do our part
So
to
don't
put a
call me
stop
when
to.
Judge Sims give you life without parole. If you
No,
do the crime, you're gonna do the time, and you might as well face up to it.
yeah,
Today is a new day, and it's time for y'all to cut out all of this foolishness.
it
And
really
I'm gonna
is. It's
say it again to you. I'm gonna be one of the main ones that's pushing it to put you back where you belong. If you're willing to take a life, then why should you be out here on this street? It's
we
for some
we have
foolishness.
we have got to do what we can do to save our young people. Now, there are a lot of summer camps going on this summer, and I do hope that they're teaching conflict resolution. They have activities. There are a lot of mental health activities that are going on because people are stressed out, and children are feeling that stress as well. A lot of that is the reason for some of the animosity and some of the fighting. But we have got to take advantage and get our kids to be a part of this so that they learn young how to cope with stress and how to deal with each other and how to love each other. And other folks, and I've heard someone tell me this, that there are some people who live in some sections of town, gated communities, who don't care how many of us kill each other. They're saying, as long as y'all don't bring that mess to my neighborhood, I don't care how many of you kill each other. Now, I have heard folks say that.
They,
They have said that
they
to
better
me.
they better watch out because to go be in their neighborhood next.
Exactly. This stuff spreads. But my point is, there are people who are rooting for us to continue hurting each other because they don't like us anyway. This is Herbert Denard likes to say. There's some people that hate us. They hate black folks. And so they don't care. Do you think they care if we kill each other? No, no, they don't care. We want to say hello to Steve Bryant, who is with us every week. He's from Macon, from Pleasant Hill. He knows you, David.
Yeah, but
Yo,
he up in
and
Virginia
he's
now.
in Alexandria, Virginia now. So we want to welcome him. And Overseer Randall just says, yeah, everything's true. We need to wake up. We really do. We need to wake up. Um, no more sleeping. Is there a call? Caller, welcome to Ask Elaine.
Yes, I wanted to do a comment on what she's saying about people not caring about our race killing each other. I
Yeah,
know you all have seen the movie where playing Little Richard, and you know when they killed that guy father, that white cop told him that when one killed the other one in that race, it's not even a crime. So
yeah,
that's the way they think about us now.
a
It's
lot
not even a crime
of
when our
people.
boys are killing each other to some people. It's
Yeah,
just funny and they are glad. And
yeah,
it's so sad. But we just keep praying that the Lord will take over
well,
We
because
gonna pray,
we
but
got it's
watch,
we
just getting
right?
out of hand.
we
Y'all
gonna
have a
we
blessed
gonna
And
pray.
pray.
We gonna pray, but we gonna take some action. It's time out for it. You got well, folks don't even want to get out the house and go to the convenience store or go shopping because somebody comes by with an AK-15 or
An
whatever, an
assault
assault rifle.
weapon. Uh-huh.
Listen, assault rifles. I got more guns you can shake a stick at. I hunt. But what I'm gonna do with an assault rifle? That's for folks fighting in walls. It is made to maim and to damage
And to shoot a lot of people at one
one
time
time.
at a short. Yeah.
You know, this is ridiculous. The feds need to pass a law on these guns. Because I'm thinking about getting me one for the outlaw them, though.
No, no. Next week, we're going to examine for you or have someone to come and talk about the newly signed gun legislation. They finally got something through Congress. The Democrats were ready to move. The Republicans, as always, held it up as long as they could until all of those babies got shot, got mowed down in Texas. And then the public opinion and the agitation, the activism was so strong until they had to do something. And so enough of them signed on to the bill and voted for the bill that it was able to get out of the Senate, and President Joe Biden has signed it. That's the first piece of significant gun legislation that they've ever been able to get through in 30 years. But it still was limited. And so next week, we're going to have someone who will come and kind of discuss what's in that bill, what it does and what it doesn't do, and then how this new gun bill in Georgia, where the conflicts are.
There ain't no
Because
conflict.
it has to be a conflict.
There's no conflict. They made it state law. You can buy it. You a felon. You walking around with a gun, a convicted felon, and you walking around with a gun, and a policeman can't say a thing to you until you take it out and use it.
Okay, well, we'll just see we'll have a review of the state law, and then we'll look at the federal legislation that was just passed and see if any of that is in conflict, and see if any of the federal legislation impacts.
And then of course,
Georgia.
We need to tell the president, you need to add some more Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, that's another topic. The Supreme Court is heavily weighted for the Republicans. There are 6 of them who we know, and Clarence Thomas, a black man, is one of the ones that's carrying the water for all of these racist kinds of things, and these things that are taking away the rights of people. There are 3 that are what they term liberal justices. They get outvoted. And so, because of this court, I feel that there should be a push toward increasing the numbers of justices that we have on the Supreme Court. What would the number be? What are you thinking? 4? An additional 4?
They need additional 4. You know, the problem is the Senate.
Where you got Republicans who are,
and then you got Joe Manchin, and you got
Sinema, who are
going
Democrat.
along with the Republicans when Democrats have a majority. When Republicans had a majority, they didn't even think about a Democrat.
Right.
They ran roughshod. When Obama was president, he had the chance to nominate. Mitch McConnell would not even hear it.
Right.
Would not even hear it. Donald Trump appointed plenty of justice since he was there.
That is why in every opportunity that we have got to vote and ask the tough questions of people as to these issues that impact our lives. Their feelings on education. Their feelings, because I think that there's going to be we've got a teacher shortage already. But with these folks saying that they want to have oversight and veto power over what a teacher says, now I know you got to be reasonable in a classroom, and you tell it like it is. You tell the facts. You tell the truth on issues. But if parents are able, or anybody is able, to come in and challenge you because you tell the truth about something, because they don't want you to say that slavery was wrong, there's a problem with that. So anybody who supports folks being able to come in and basically run your classroom, I know parents need to have input. Parents always need to have input. They always need to be a part of their kids' education. But the teacher is hired there to do the job, and there's an evaluation process. And if everything you say, you're scared that you're going to be challenged on it, you're going to lose that teacher after a while.
Well,
We're already short.
well, all you got to do is
So,
just like you said, when you elect folks, when these folks get out and run, if they scared, they ought to say they're scared so we know to elect somebody else.
yeah. I'm Nobody asked these tough questions. When we had two positions that were voted on with the school board. We didn't ask those kinds of questions of our school board. And this is where the Republicans are taking over. They're taking over on local school boards,
Local government,
local governments.
because
They're
we don't
taking
vote.
over with the state legislative.
Well, in Bibb County, look at the last election. There's over 63,000 registered black voters in Macon, and the election was won with 12,000 votes.
Yeah, yeah.
This is ridiculous. So you basically are saying, just give it to us any kind of way you want.
Whatever. And when people call you fussing, you ran and you said you were going to represent people. And so, but when they call and they don't vote, they don't ever attend any meetings, you can't count on them if there's an emergency in the community and you need some bodies to show up to help advocate for or against something. And these same people, when they get in trouble, they want to call you and they want their problem handled right then. There is a way to ensure that all of our problems get handled right away, and that is to have the right people in office who will address. But you got to ask them beforehand what their thinking is. Did anybody ask Gary Bechtel when he was running for water board chair? He won that election, by the way, over Desmond Brown. But did anybody ask either one of them on certain issues? You think of water, but there are other kinds of things that they deal with. Did you ask them? I don't think so. When someone's running, Herschel Walker, thank goodness people are asking him questions. They're questioning Brian Kemp. Um, you remember that commercial where Brian Kemp had that gun pointed? It was a commercial, yeah, but it sent the right message. He had that gun aimed at supposedly his daughter's boyfriend.
I don't know. He had it
All of these things, you have to ask questions. You have to be prepared to vote. And so, y'all, please, this time goes by so fast. Thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you, Senator, for showing up today.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, we will see you again next Wednesday for another edition of Ask Elaine. Y'all, post in the chat if you have questions or comments that you'd like to make. Um, in the meantime, thank you. And if you're not registered to vote or you know somebody who's not, please go ahead and you register to vote. There's simple. Thank you so much for tuning in. And next Wednesday, 3 p.m. for another edition